All right, perfect. So what's going to happen now is we're going to move into a cheerier topic. We're going to move into a nice personal attack. So you're lazier than you think you are. We've all been in this situation. You've sat down at your desk, you've opened up your notebook, the coffee is boiling, and you are more than ready to grind, right? But then the Netflix you have open on your other tab stops working, so you have to get up and check the router, but that's in the living room, which is past the kitchen, and then bam. Next thing you know, you wake up 6 hours later on the living room couch with an empty bag of Doritos and absolutely no idea how you got there, right? So this is simply because in the same way that we find it difficult to find the physical energy to do work, we also find it hard to find the mental energy to really think. All right, and this is known as cognitive laziness. So as humans, we are cognitively lazy. We don't like to put in any more effort than thinking than we actually have to. So this is a good example in optical illusions. So when we look at something like this, we can see one of two things, and our brain is going to perceive whatever is easiest for us to see. For us to then go and switch to the other option, we have to actively apply effort. We have to think, and our brain doesn't want to do this. So again, we're going to see what's easier for us to see. So if you look at this example behind me here, you can see one of two things. You can see a woman walking away from us into the distance, or you can see a man staring out at you into the audience, right? So we're going to take this and we're going to apply it to a lovely metaphor, because who doesn't love a metaphor? So let's consider our brain a bank. And this bank has a certain amount of cognitive resources, and these are things like attention and focus. So in order for us to take on tasks, our brain has to designate a certain amount of these cognitive resources to each task. So in the case of the image that we just saw, let's say that you saw the man first. This was easier for you to do, so it cost you only, let's say, one cognitive resource. For you to then go and flip and say, you know what, I want to see the woman now, you had to actually think, and this costs more. It costs you 2 cognitive resources. Being cognitively lazy, our brain wants to do what's easiest for it, and we'll pick the thing that's easier for us to see. So while doing this can lead to us missing information, why are we so predisposed to doing it? And the answer is simply that it's evolutionarily favorable for us to save up our mental resources for survival-related things. So let's throw it back to our ancestors in the jungle, like dipping and dodging, tigers and lions and all that, and imagine if they'd come across a lion and thought like, oh, this is a big cat. I wonder if it's young or old or male or female, or if it's black stripes on an orange cat or orange stripes on a black cat, rather than thinking, is this thing going to kill me? Right? So by limiting the amount of cognitive resources they were putting into these thought processes, they were more quickly able to come up with an important decision like run, right? So let's bring it back and let's look at this cat. When we see a big cat in the jungle, we should think, okay, it's got some black stripes and orange fur, it's probably a tiger. And then we can look at that tiger and go, is it going to hurt me? Right? But this takes up a lot of time, a lot of effort sifting through all this information, and our brain would much rather learn over time to just skip ahead, to take the easy route and to go, a big cat might hurt me, let's run. And while this is more efficient, we risk losing all that information that lies in between. So let's take this and apply it to a real-world example in our slightly more tiger-free environment that we have nowadays, and look at an individual named Abigail. So when we hear Abigail, we're probably thinking of a female-identifying individual who might be American, right? And if we hear the name Pierre, we might think of a male-identifying individual who is French. And while this might be true, we're minimizing our cognitive resources by using our past information on Pierre's and Abigail's to come up with an idea of who they might be, and missing all that information in between, right? So by minimizing our cognitive effort, we're missing out on who these individuals might actually be. So if we do this and we have stereotyping, which is what that's called, involved, and we know now that minimizing cognitive effort leads to us missing information, why is it so hard for us to break this negative cycle? So much in the same way that we can know that, sleeping in's not bad, but it's just so cozy, or going to the gym is good for us, but it's just so tiring, right? We're less likely to invest our cognitive resources in things that are uncomfortable or hard to do. So if we take a look at this very highly scientific graph behind me, in which the green line indicates someone who's decided to apply cognitive resources, at the beginning we can see that things are easy for them. They're kind of coasting through life, not applying much effort, and they're comfortable. In the moment that they decide to really apply these mental resources, things get a little bit harder. It's the same way as like learning a new skill. Things are uncomfortable at the beginning, it's hard to do, and it's this initial investment that causes us a lot of discomfort. However, much in the same way that once you're actually up out of bed, you're not as tired, or once you're actually in the gym, it's easier to work out theoretically, right? Things get easier with time. So the more comfortable you become with it, the more fluent it feels, and then the easier you'll perceive this process to be. So unlearning cognitive laziness is possible. I want you to think back to the time that you used a GPS to navigate a route that you should probably already know, or you highlighted your notes instead of using the scientifically proven better method of recall, right? Or you had Netflix open on split screen when you probably should have been finishing some very important slides, right? As humans, we're cognitively lazy, and we don't like to put in more effort than we absolutely have to. But by taking the easy way out in the short term, we can actually have long-term deficits in our understanding of the world around us. And so while sometimes it's okay to skip the gym to finish the 5th season of that Netflix series you started yesterday, avoiding cognitive laziness is not a workout that we can afford to miss. So thank you.